Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and in this video we're looking at the Nodus Retrospect version 1, version 2, and version 3. This one is on loan from Rob of the Random Rob channel. These two I have purchased used over the past 2 or 3 years. I don't exactly remember, but yeah, I'll just say it. I haven't worn either of these watches, so I guess I just like to buy them and put them in the boxes and never wear them. So anyway, the point of this video is just a quick little comparison. When Rob said he would loan this to me, I didn't really remember that I had these two watches, and then it took a little while and remember I had them. So figure we just take a look at this. I think it'd be most important to compare version 3 to version 2. So the biggest differences, number one is the bezel on this is 42 millimeter versus 45 millimeter. So if you look at the case here, or the bezel in the case, you'll see that the bezel overhangs the case by about 3/4 of a millimeter. The cases are different though. The lug-to-lug on version 2 is slightly longer. So version 2 lug-to-lug is 48.8, and version 3 we're looking at 47.8. That's measured with my calipers. The cases, from what I measured, version 3 is 40.5, and version 2 I measured at 40.6. Could be measurement error potentially, but I think it's probably correct. So what you notice here is the side of this case is brushed and the side of this case is polished. I prefer the brushed case, but the polish would be a little easier to touch up with a Cape Cod cloth. I have heard that you can put a brush finish back on using a Scotch pad, but I've never tried that. This has a nice chamfer on the edge here, which is polished. This one here, the simpler case, just has a 90-degree corner there, basically. Doesn't have a 45 chamfer on the edge. They both are drilled lugs. The crowns on both are signed. There we go. So this one, the crown is 7.5, and version 2 we're looking at 6.9 millimeter. Oh, I see. The crown here is a brushed crown. I'm not sure how well that is focusing on the engraved crown there, but that's brushed. And this one here is polished, so that's what the difference is. This is quite the polish on this case here. Also, you can see the lugs on this are kind of cleared away for the bezel. So the lugs are a little bit proud of the bottom of that bezel. I think it looks like a neat feature. And this one here, it's not like that. The lugs are below the bezel. Version 2 you could get with a ceramic bezel insert. As I said, I bought this one used, and this one has the stainless steel bezel insert. The handsets look, I think, very similar. I know you guys can let me know in the comments. They both have sandwich dials. Looks like the date window on this one will be loomed as well. I thought that was a new thing for version 3, but I guess not. So thickness, version 3 I measured at 14 millimeter. Version 2 I measured at 13.8. In the lug width on both of them is 22, and they taper down to 18 millimeter on the bracelet. So you notice the clasps are different. This one has the safety clasp and also does have the double pushers on the sides. The new one just has the double pushers. which makes sense. I don't think you really need a safety clasp with the double pushers. I've never had one accidentally pop open. Maybe if you had a single pusher, it makes sense, but not with the double. So they both do have milled. This portion of the clasp is milled on both of them. A little bit different of a design here, though. This is the style I was talking about in the other video, where this part kind of scissors in between here. I just did notice this has I noticed that this has 6 micro adjusts, and the new one only has 3, which really 3 is probably all you need. I don't know why you'd want 6 necessarily. I would say the clasp, yes, a slightly smaller clasp. It's hard to tell because of the curve, but it is smaller. Maybe if you look at it this way. There we go. These bottom portions are flushed up. So it's, I don't know what that is, 5 millimeter maybe. Okay, yeah. The new one does have quick release bracelet. The old one did not have that. I think those are the main differences that I wanted to cover, or that I know about. If you guys know of any other differences, please put them in the comment section. I do like that the new bezel overhangs the case. Let's see how much, I mean, this is pretty easy to rotate the bezel. I think that's lined up. And this one here, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit harder, but it's not all that difficult to rotate it, but that one is definitely easier to use. We can talk about version 1. So obviously I don't have a bracelet for this one. I don't know if they were offered on bracelet. Going back quite a few years here, at least probably 3 years ago by now, I think this one has been out for. All the measurements are the same that I can tell. The bezel, the case, lug to lug, drilled lugs, polished case. It's very similar to version 2. It has a 6.9 millimeter crown. So these versions are very similar, but the thickness is quite a bit more on this. This is almost a millimeter thicker than version 2. So I measured this one at 14.7. I had to check it 3 times just to make sure I was measuring it correctly. Took me a little bit to figure out what it was, and it's the crystal. This thing has a massive dome to it. It's probably the most domed crystal I've ever had on a watch. Let's see if we can see that here. Might be a little hard to see. I'll put my hand behind it. But this crystal actually pops out beyond the bezel. See if I have something. I have a straight edge here or not. Oh, here we go. It's my little, I don't know what this is. I know what it is. It's a mallet, but whatever you want to call it. So kind of give you an idea of the dome on this thing. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But you can see the crystal is definitely proud of the bezel. Now this one is too, but not nearly as much. So anyway. One other difference, this has a stainless steel PVD coated bezel insert. This one just has the stainless steel, so you can kind of see that grain pattern there, I guess. At least I can feel it with my fingernail as well. Let's compare that to this ceramic. It's a brushed ceramic bezel insert. Yeah, that's smooth. So anyway, here's version 1 and a version 3. Indices on this are definitely smaller as well. I'm going to see if a little bit larger on version 2 is smaller than version 3, but it looks to be a little larger than version 1. So that's an interesting difference. The indices seem to have gotten larger and larger over the years. Also, the date window is not boxed in on this one here. Let me fix the date window on this, and then we'll close out the video with a Lume comparison. Actually, I'll put them all on wrist real quick. So, yeah, I guess I'll line up the hands again. There we go. Just want to check out the crowns on them. Yeah, version 1 and 2 are very similar. Definitely believe it when they say this has an all-new case. The crown feels very large, even though it's only about a 0.5 millimeter larger. The 7.4 millimeter crown versus 6.9. I might have already mentioned that. I can't remember. Yeah, so the threads are a little bit different on the crown too. This has external threads on the crown stem. The other one here, I just saw a smooth crown stem. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I just can't see the threads as well. So let me know on your end of the screen there. I'm pretty sure that's smooth, but anyway. All right, let's get these on wrist. We'll go in order, 1, 2, 3. And then we'll check out the Lume. Yeah. Yeah, the video's already gone on long enough. Well, just throw my SKX real quick. So, Retrospect is slightly smaller. It's 40.5 versus 42, but the bezel is larger on this than the SKX. So there we go. Quick look at SKX versus Nodus Retrospect. Getting a little late, I guess. I'm getting my words jumbled up. There we go. Close enough. A NATO strap. Actually, I have a leather strap for this too, but haven't really worn it on either. Signed buckle. Signed Nodus, of course. Okay, let's get this one off wrist. Then we'll go with version 2. I really should sell these watches. You'll see I've never sized a bracelet on this. I don't know if I mentioned, but the safety clasp is signed Nodus. And then version 3, the clasp is engraved with Nodus. So, polish case versus the brush case. In lug to lug is slightly longer. 6.5 inch wrist with the 52 millimeter wristband. And here's this one again. Really do like that dial color. The Arctic Sky. $475 at the Nodus website. And yes, this is properly sized for my 6.5 inch wrist. Alrighty, let's take a moment and check out the Lume. Alright, so left to right, they're all the Retrospect, but We have 1, 2, and 3. For the version 3, they said that they improved the Lume, which I believe, looking at this here. And it has X1 Super Luminova, Lume. And yep, date window is loomed on version 2. So, but it still surprised me seeing it on the version 3 since I haven't worn any of these watches all that much. And version 3 has that loomed ceramic bezel insert. Well, I think that will conclude the video. As always, thank you for the time. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.